And I mean, I like that. I mean, that's the beautiful thing about Darrington too. You know, is everyone's waving at each other, and I think that's how it should be.
Yeah.
And it's just that openness to strangers, to new ideas, and it's it's actually just one stupid question away, and all of a sudden things are just rolling, and I love that. And, people got a lot to say, and I have a lot to learn.
Yeah.
And just open my ears up, and it's always a good time. The other thing, too, is like when you're in a crowded room, one thing that kind of helps me out is knowing me being here, it's not about me. It's always about the other person. It's always about what they have. Because a lot of folks don't listen well. But folks do love to talk about themselves.
Absolutely.
And I think that's key.
Yeah.
I think that understanding, it takes all the pressure. It takes all the pressure off of you.
Yeah.
Right? So.
Yeah. No, it's that was one of the tactics I had on growing this was I need people to talk about them.
Yeah.
In order for me to get big, I want to talk to people who need to get big. And, hey, what are you doing?
Yeah.
I want you to come here to talk about you. I'm selfless and selfish at the same time. Because I want to totally focus on local businesses, local everything, like people who are from around here. And how did you, and artistically, because I kind of want to glean a little bit of information off of that, of how artists, business owners, everything, how do you go from being a W-2 employee to your own business? And then that journey is fascinating, and it's fascinating not just to me, but it's fascinating to a shit ton of other people. And believing in yourself, taking that risk, owning your brand is a huge thing.
It's weird. It's strange, but I think in the end, it's just having that understanding, I guess, and I mean being all consumed, with teaching and stuff, and knowing how I feel about art. And one thing, I guess, like going through college and stuff, I went to college. What am I going to school for? I don't know. Everyone wants there to be doctors and lawyers, right? You hear that all the time, and I was like, yeah, that doesn't appeal to me. But in high school, I loved art, and I had this like a different way of thinking about stuff. And I used to have this little thing in the paper. It was kind of stupid, but it was called Ben's World, and it was just these random thoughts. Like one would be, everyone has a limited amount of words that you have in your life. And when you used up all your words, you die. And it didn't matter what the words were, it was just or how many it was, you're just going to use them up. And you never knew what it was, and then you die. I mean, that's the common denominator of why people are deceased. Just random things
thoughts.
Like that. So I went to college, and I knew I wasn't the best at math. English was something else for me, which I was okay at, but I was kind of drawn to that art. I love the concept. I'd be in classes, art classes, and people would just slam out something they might have seen at Fred Meyer, and you're just going, I mean, what are we here for, guys? Come on.
You're here to create, not
we're here to
replicate.
Yeah, exactly. Yes, beautiful. Here to create, not replicate. And so I would always have these concepts and this idea behind what I was doing, and my craft probably wasn't the best. I'll admit, I mean, there were guys that could draw a naked person way better than I could. They knew all the tricks. I didn't know any tricks, I'm just sitting there trying to do my thing and kept at it. But it was the concept that got me excited, and that was what I thought art should mean. And as soon as those ideas dry up or something, which I don't think they will, I think there's always another route I can go with just thinking about stuff. That was kind of one of the driving forces, I guess, behind what I'm doing.
Yeah.
So when it comes to why did I do that? Because there was this overwhelming need to do it. Every time I was stuck in a classroom, and trying to teach some kid that could care less about it, I was like, I could be out doing what I want to do. I could be pursuing these ideas and making it happen all day, and just living that no matter what happens, and seeing these ideas through. And the more I do it, the better I'm going to be. And don't be too critical about one painting until you've done 100 that are similar to that. Then start being critical on your 100th painting. And and then seeing these rivers and being there. And I like to think of almost indigenous people that they experience the same water I'm looking at right now. And how long will it flow like this in this color, and how much will the world change, and will my work now resonate years later with the same subject matter? And you look at art history and artists that have painted towers or cathedrals or even lily ponds, looking at Monet and people trying to find that stuff, those artifacts or those places. Or I'm just on this river. This is the date. That's as far as the title's going to go, because that's all that this is. And a lot of folks are like, well, why don't you paint the landscape too? Paint the trees, paint the rocks. And I want it to be from a fisherman's perspective, where they only see the river.
Yeah.
And like on the Gallatin River, there's this old rancher coming by, and he says, "You know why the river's that color right now?" I said, "No, I don't know." He says, "It's from Lightning Creek." He says, when Lightning Creek, they have this limestone up there, or was it I think it was limestone or bentonite. Maybe a bentonite deposit. And when the river picks up, the river turns this greenish blue, kind of a chalky color. It's like, man, that is fascinating. And so then you think that hundreds of years ago, people going along that river, they look over and they see that they know that the information that guy just told me about Lightning Creek putting in a little different color changes everything.
It means there's more fertile land up at this area, and if they want to deer hunt, that's where to go.
Yeah.
Those are the signs.
Yeah. So I guess as far as the journey goes, as far as the adventure that I'm on, I think that's a part that really resonates, is thinking about the past, thinking about the future, where we're at now. And
I could go on forever. Those stories are the stories that totally fascinate me.
Yeah.
Digging in, just think about, we're not just experiencing what we're experiencing right now, but we're experiencing effects that we've done, and what nature has done to our world, and we can interpret it by the rocks in the river.
Exactly. Yeah. And there's so much that, I love a freestone stream. And my work has a different vibe and a different feel from that. Like the Yellowstone's a freestone stream, the Gallatin's a freestone stream. But then you get into the tailwater, and that where they have a dam up top.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden the paintings, they turn into these riffles where the color scheme's tighter, the lines are tighter, and I'm not getting that, that violence that comes from the river just flowing down. It's just random, and that I think that really comes through in the art, and that's bizarre. That's like a subconscious reaction to what I'm doing, and that I think is perfect.
Yeah.
And
is there a market for calm downstream and upstream?
So I think that people are drawn to rivers for the rivers themselves. Like when you're out there and you got that repetition of casting your fly, if you catch a fish, or if you don't catch a fish, you're going to go back to that river with the hopes that you will. And I believe that people are attracted to water. Like over, 80% of the world lives within a mile of the ocean?
Yeah.
Within a big body of water.
Yeah.
And, it's the metropolis is set up, and it's for transport.
It's why the coasts are set up.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, you don't find the biggest cities in the middle of the United States. Yeah. It's right along that waterfront. And I believe that people are drawn to water. And like the rivers in Montana, they have this storied history with some of the first explorers coming over and naming them and everything. And then the fly fishing that comes from that. I think that that's part of what I'm trying to do, but I've also found that people don't sink in as much as I'd like to get to the part where the name of the river could just sell itself. Like I want some guy in Siberia that's come over here, he loves fly fishing, and when he comes over, he knows these rivers for themselves as his fly fishing mecca.
Yeah, he's gonna buy Blackfoot.
Yeah. And I think that's I haven't experienced too much of that. A little bit from foreign countries, but like I said again, I think it's got to be that personal connection.
Yeah.
And I always thought, as far as Montana goes, you're going to find a truckload of people in the park. Yellowstone. Mm-hmm. That is going to be your meal ticket right there. Man, it takes forever to get into Yellowstone. 2 hours from where I live, at least, one way. And, that's cutting into painting time. But then you have to figure out where you're going to set up. And that's still a trick. Because ideally, like I was saying, it's not the people driving by. You got to set up where they park, they get out, and then you're going to make a connection by talking to them. And the park, they were getting after me this year about taking a picture of the painting I made and putting it on my website. They say you can't do that. You got to get a permit. What? Why? Why is that? I mean, people are taking pictures, and I'm not selling.
It's a selfie. Yeah. What?
Yeah. I'm not selling the photograph. I'm selling the painting in the photograph.
Yeah.
They say you can't do that. It's a prop. You can't set up a prop in the park and take a picture. You got to get a permit for it.
Really?
It's like, man, you guys are really splitting hairs here. And so, I don't want to get snarky with them or anything. Like, I put a buffalo in the background behind my painting and say, hey, just like if someone parked their car there and they took a picture of the buffalo. And, they could say they're not selling their car, I guess. I don't know. I'm kind of frustrated by that. But I think I'll just go with the permit just to avoid any further confusion. But I love the idea too, where they come out and they say, "Hey, what are you doing?" Because they allow painters in there, and they allow fly fishermen in there.
They allow photographers in there, don't they?
And they allow photographers in there.
Yeah.
I don't know if those photographers have, their permit or not. Who knows? I'm not going to check. I'm not going to be the permit police all of a sudden, but...
You just make a fake placard that says National Geographic. Just let you get away with it.
But, there's literally buses of people from other countries coming into Yellowstone. Thanks. Coming into Yellowstone to experience that. And if they see a fella out there painting with a fly rod, I think that if at the least it should be getting international notoriety too.
Yeah.
So that's supposed to be the thing. The best experience I've had as far as people go has been up in the parks in Canada.
Yeah,
because they're just chill. I mean, they're just whatever.
Yeah,